Before I start, I want to show you how the whole concept about Arabic language, like the study of the grammar, what are the parts, how it is organized, and what we'll be studying. Okay, so inshallah, I think it will help you with getting the whole picture. So I'm just going to organize one way. There's many ways of organizing, but that is the main uh, gist of the studying Arabic grammar. So usually the introductory topic is usually they will start with the concept of kalima, right? They will start with kalima and kalam, right? So they will be talking about these topics, right? Its parts and how do we identify and all of these things, pretty much everything that we have done thus far. So that is the introduction. So Alhamdulillah, I think we have covered this. I'll just mention a few things today to wrap this topic up. Then it starts with what? It starts with al-i'rab and al-bina. Okay, this is a big topic. Okay, then what happens? Everything that we study, it would be something related to these things. Remember what I said before, the entire Arabic language revolves around this concept, i'rab and bina. How so? Inshallah, we'll see that Arab, it has different. I think most of you already know that it has different states. The marfu, majzum, mansub, and majrur. All of these states, inshallah, we'll study. Then, basically, in Arabic grammar, only thing we study which are the words that gets dhamma, marfu, which are the words gets fatha, mansub, which are the words gets kasra, majrur, and which of the words that gets sukun, majzum. Believe it or not, the entire study, rest of the study revolves around these things. So they will divide like al marfu'at. What does al marfu'at means? The ones that you get dhamma. The words when you put dhamma at the end. Then we'll study this is not in order. I don't know which order we're gonna be going. Then we have al mansub. What? Al mansubat. These are plural of mansub, right? You understand mansub marfu. So this is when do we put a fatha in the words. Then we'll have a majrurat. Okay, when do we get what? When do we get kasra? And then we'll study what? Al majzum. Majzumat. What is majzum? When do we put sukun? That's it, guys. There is nothing else we're going to be studying. Everything revolves around this thing. So we study Arab, and then because the whole Arab is what? The mafata kasra. What do we put at the end? Remember, I've been keep on telling you, if you've been studying with me, I always say that this is the entire Arabic language. Then the rest of our study is simply finding out which word has the dhamma, when do we put a dhamma at the end, when do we put a fatha, when do we put a kasra, and when we put a sukun. That's it. Then we're done. Okay. So now you'll be scratching your head thinking, subhanallah, so what about all these things? That, guys, everything will be here. When we go inside, then the mubtada and khabar will come, because from your previous lessons, the mubtada gets dhamma, so you know that mubtada will be inside this container. So when we start talking about marfu'at, that's when we'll be talking about mubtada, we'll be talking about khabar, we'll be talking about all the other things. Inshallah, everything will be in its place. When we talk about mansubat, that's when we'll be talking about maful bihi, maful fihi, maful li ajlihi, maful mutlaq, all the maful hal, everything you want to know about when to put a fatha. And same thing will be for the rest. You understand how the Arabic language, the grammar is, this is only for the grammar. This is how it is structured. Now you understand why when we say that entire thing is revolves around Arab, it's because of that. It's all about finding out when to put dhamma, when to put kasra, when to put fatha, and like so. Clear, guys? So far, as you can see, we have kind of covered this one. I'll just mention a few things to wrap this thing up. And then, inshallah, we'll be starting with i'rab and bina. Now, as you can see, these are all i'rab, meanings they're all moving, meaning they're changing the fatha, dhamma, kasra. And bina is something that means it doesn't change, inshallah. So that means our first goal would be to talk about the bina and finish, because there's nothing much to talk about. We just have to know, inshallah, this would be our topic. I don't want to get too much in detail right now. And then, inshallah, rest of our journey would be all about i'rab and figuring things out. Make sense, guys? So now you know where we are. Some of the topic will be obviously, mm, some of the topic will be longer than the others. For example, this was, we completed in a month, so that's quite simple. And as you know, majroors, these are very simple. There are only few places when we have kasra, so that also will be very simple. But then, definitely mansubat is one of the longest topic. And this is the one of the things that we, in the beginner students, we never study. Only thing we know to put fatha when it is an object of a verb, right? But we have more situation when we put fatha than when we put dhamma and everything else. Make sense, guys? So that is your path to learning Arabic language, especially the grammar. So before I start talking about our new topic, I wanted to mention a few things. One of the exercise when we came about, we were remember, what was it? Here, we were talking about this situation. How do we understand this, right? We said this is a verb, and then how do we understand what nun alif is? Remember, in this topic, when we were discussing that topic at that time, we are not interested in seeing something as, pronouns. We know this is noun, because in the grammar they don't talk about pronouns, adjective of this kind of nature. This is completely irrelevant, because, or how did they define isim? They didn't define isim about from the noun pronoun perspective. They just define isim that any word that is independent and it doesn't have any time. So they don't care if it's pronoun or not. But from reality perspective, we can easily understand that nun alif is a pronoun, so that should be noun. But in that topic, that wasn't the point. The point was, is there any way we can identify, right? And then the tools that we had from the Ajrumiyyah, it wasn't sufficient. Then I mentioned something about musnad ilayhi, but then I went to the qatr nada. I like the term that he used. I think it is quite simple and easy to understand. So I'm just going to quickly show you. So this is from qatr nada. So here in the qatr nada, as you can see, he mentioned the alama. Same thing for yu'raf. It is understood by what? Alif lam. We did the alif lam. Alhamdulillah, that's fine. Then tanween. We did tanween, right? So we have a rajulu and rajulin. And then see, it did not mention any other things except what? Bil hadith anhu. You understand? So al hadith anhu, it means anything that you talk about, which is what? A subject. When something is a subject, then it must be a noun. For example, he gave an example, same thing, kind of similar thing that we had. This is, you have darabtu, the grammarians really like this word for some reason, daraba. So darabtu, it means what? Is a verb, right? You have a daraba, which is a verb. Then how do you explain to? How do we explain? Because we have ways to find out whether daraba is a verb or not, because we can add qad and all of these things. So how do we understand to? What is the to? So this is where you will get into this technical definition. That means hadith anhu. That means these two, whether you call it pronoun or not, in here they don't care about from that perspective. These two is that this action goes back to the two. That means that is the subject. So anytime you have a subject, then they want to say that this is a noun. And inshallah, when we go to the mubtada and khabar, you will see that is precisely the case. When we have a mubtada, mubtada must be a noun. There's different types of noun. Inshallah, we'll talk about this. You have explicit noun and you have implicit nouns. That's, but it has to be noun, but not the case for khabar. Khabar can be noun, it can be verbs, it can be preposition, it can be anything. Khabar is something else. Make sense, guys? Clear? So that is what I wanted to say last time, and I thought I might mention that. And as you can already see, when you're looking at these two things side by side, subhanallah, you see how same thing different scholars are explaining. So this is I think it's helping you guys not to be focused in one book, and you're also understanding the other, so what's going on with this Arabic grammar. Now going back to our there's one more thing that I have to mention right now. I'll just mention very, very simple way, because I have a feeling this topic might come back. I just don't recall, because I studied many different books. I don't know if Ajrumiyyah brought this topic or not, but something I wanted to mention now, because even if we don't come across this topic, I think that is good enough, because the concept has to be in your mind. Remember, a lot of times I mentioned something not to study in details. I just want to make sure that you understand something of this nature exists. And why don't we study? If it was super important, obviously we would be studying it. But if it's something that is not that important right now, that's when we don't study too much. And that is the concept of, it goes back to very interesting topic, very interesting thing in actually in Arabic language. So I'll just remove some of these things here, which is, remember what we said, the verbs. What does verb do? Verb provides some kind of action, right? And especially when you look at command verbs, you're asking something to happen, right? So you have the action, and you also have what? You also have the tense. Who remembers what is the tense of the command verbs? Guys, at this point, you guys have to be very comfortable with this. You have to know the tense of the command verb is a future tense, mustaqbal. Okay, it's not happening right now, it didn't happen, you're commanding someone, and the anticipation is that that action will be happening in the future, because the tense and the action has to go together. Just because you are saying right now doesn't mean that action is happening right now. So you have to see from that perspective, right? So the command verb, we have action, and we have what? We have a tense. Now, sometimes what happens in Arabic language, we have a very interesting set of words that does precisely that. It gives you a command, and it also have, which is an action. It also it also has a time. For example, the word that we always say, Amin. What is Amin? When do we say this Amin? We say this after what? Reading Surah Al-Fatiha. Yes, of course, and also after all dua. And that because the Surah Al-Fatiha is considered one of the dua, that's why we say Amin at the end. Now, the issue is, what does Amin? Because we have these three categories, right? It is either ism or fi'al, or it is harf. So what do you think? I want you to think about these things, because sometimes I want you guys to also think. This class, you have to use your minds and concept a little bit. So what do you think this Amin is? You already know which one is nouns, which one is verb, which one is harf. So I have one answer, say ism. And what do you think? Is it ism, fi'l? And then you have to explain to me, first of all, do you know what Amin means? Let's find out what Amin means. When you say Amin, what does it mean? Amin actually means, yes, may Allah accept. So it has this kind of, so you have like accept it. So how does it sound like? When you say you ask somebody, you're asking Allah, Allah accept it. What does it sound like? Verb, yes. What kind of verb? See, that's good, because if you guys having hard time, that means I'm making you guys think, and that's what I want in this class. Okay, so the tense is future, and so what type of verb? Is it mudare, madi, or amr? Okay, so I have a mudare. No one else? Everybody agrees with her? It would be a command verb. because you're asking Allah to do something. You're commanding Allah. We're using the command, quote unquote. Arabic language is very interesting. When we say commanding to Allah or anybody higher position, Arabic language automatically it translates as what? As requesting. Okay, so that's a different thing that comes from the balagha, but maybe inshallah I will mention when we go to the verbs. But here we are using as a request. So any types of request is what? It's not a present tense, it's not a past tense, it is definitely a command verb. Because the amin has another word in Arabic, is istajib, like answer me. So now it makes sense. You read this whole dua and you are asking Allah, Allah accept it. This is simple as that. The word even in English, it's command verb. You're asking Allah to do something. So this is a verb, this is a command. So now the issue is, so this part is clear. If you don't understand, then we cannot, you don't understand. The amin is actually, we're asking Allah to accept. So that means we're requesting Allah to accept our dua. So this is a verb, it's a command verb, and in the future tense. Now the question is, we have a problem with this word in Arabic language. What is the problem? The problem is it does not accept any of these alama. Now what you're going to do? We are saying the verb has to have this alama, this sign. It has to have a qad. Can we say qad amin? No. No Arab has ever said it. Can we say sa amin? No. Sawfa amin? No. Now we have a problem. You get the problem? So we have this kind of set of words in Arabic language, which by nature is a verb, as a command verb, but it does not accept the alama, the signs of the verbs. So what do? That's when they make it into a special category. It is called ismu fi'l. So be careful. This is mudaf ilay. Ismu fi'lin. Be careful. It's not ismu fa'il, which is something that is different, right? It's ismu fi'l. So we can't even translate as a verbal noun because verbal noun is something else. You can say verb noun. Maybe that would be fine. Verb noun. For me, I would rather, hold on a second. I would put a hyphen here just to, make things clear. So verb noun. Makes sense? So because it doesn't accept any of the verb signs, then we cannot technically call it as a verb, right? No, it has a tense. You're asking Allah to accept it. And this is not the only word. I'm going to give you another word because I don't want to spend too much time here because I have a feeling this topic might come. But because we're talking about something like that, I thought I might mention it because even if book doesn't talk about this concept, I think this is sufficient. Here's another one, sah. Okay, sah. This is also used by Arabs all the time. These days they don't use, but in the past they used to use, which is also command verb, which is uskut. Who remembers what uskut means? Or know what uskut means? Yes, no, quiet. Yes, good. You're very close. Quiet, to be quiet. So now this is not only it's not only the problem. We have a lot of this kind of set of word, and there's other ones. I don't want to mention them to confuse you. Hopefully, inshallah, the topic will come. But now we have a problem because sah also does not accept any of these alama. So what do? We create a new container. We call them ismu fi'lin. So don't say ismu fa'il, which is something else. It's ismu fi'lin. And I haven't seen people translate like that, but I would translate it like this: verb noun with a hyphen. So this is like kind of different. Okay, makes sense. The last sign, which one? Sakina. Yes. Okay. So this is simple. It's like any verb when you can add this ta. For example, any verb kataba. Okay, kataba, that means he wrote. How do we say she wrote? Katabat. Okay. You get it? So then once you add this thing, if you can add, first of all, if you see this ta is there with the sukun, then you know it's a verb. And it's not here, if you understand that this is something that can accept it, then you will know that this is a verb. Okay, it's called ta'u tanis as-sakina here. Ta'u at-ta'nis as-sakin. The whole thing is the word. Yes, this whole thing is a phrase. Okay. So I don't know what is the difference between masdar. Oh, the masdar is something else. So the masdar, it's not. This is not even close to masdar, and this is a very peculiar type of word. And believe it or not, I've seen one book, subhanallah, one book. You know how we categorize ism, fail, harf, like 3 categories. That scholar in his book, he actually categorized into 4: ism, fail, harf, and ismu, failin. So because it's kind of weird, this word is kind of weird, so you don't know what to do. His argument is that if you say ism is word doesn't have time, and the fail is word that has time, well, then make another container that is both ism. You understand? So the issue is that this is a little bit something you have to be aware of. It's kind of technical, it's kind of like geeky, but don't worry too much, because the word that you probably will be come across are very, very few. And then it's something that we don't have to spend way too much. I already spent more time than I initially thought I would, but that's the concept. Okay, inshallah, keep some of these things in your mind, and inshallah, when it comes, we'll study, or at least you'll be able to carry on when you get across these type of words. Jayyid. So with that, inshallah, we will be starting with our very interesting and beautiful topic, which is we have Babul I'rab. Okay, so the chapter of the I'rab. Now, as you can see, it will be a quite big topic, right? So today, I think we probably will be just talking about this part here. I don't know why I'm shading it. This is the part that probably we can talk, and then inshallah, we'll be moving forward. Now, so let me just start reading it and translating, and then inshallah, we'll go to the sharh. So what did Ajrumiyyah says? He says al-i'rabu. So first of all, we want to know what is this concept of i'rab. What is it? Why we will be spending our entire Arabic lifetime to study this concept? So what is it? So let's see what our Musannif, our Ajrumiyyah has to say. He says al-i'rabu, the i'rab is huwa, it is what? Taghyiru. It is, تغيير is what? A change. غير. I think you've probably heard this word. تغيير is a change. Change of what? أواخر. أواخر is and أواخر الكلم. Okay. So it's a change, the ending of kalim. So what is kalim? أواخر is the plural of آخر. The ending. So what is kalim? Kalim is a plural of kalima. Interestingly, the word kalima has 2 plurals. One is kalimat, which is simply you add alif and ta, which you guys probably know. Inshallah, this is something that we will also learn. And it also has another plural, which is kalim. There's a little bit difference. This kalim here comes as a jins, as a container, the whole group, and whereas kalima comes as like many words. Okay. Anyway, you don't have to know too much difference, but the thing is, this is a plural of kalima. So he's saying that it is a change at the end of words. Why these changes are happening? لِإِخْتِلَافِ الْعَوَامِلِ الدَّاخِلَةِ عَلَيْهَا لَفْظًا أَوْ تَقْدِيرًا. Okay, so li for ikhtilaf, for the difference of what? Awamil. Remember the word, I told you this word is going to be coming and haunting you. And even if it's not clear last time, inshallah, more you hear, the word's going to be clear. This is the plural of the word that last time I explained is amil. Okay, amil. Remember the amil, by linguistic, it means a worker, somebody, a doer, you have people are working, you can call them amil, he's an amil. Okay, but here it means when it's, remember last time I explained to you, when it comes and it makes some kind of change. Inshallah, we'll be spending a little bit more time on this word later. Okay, right now let's just translate, and then we'll go to the sharh. So this change is happening at the end of the words. The change is happening because why? لِإِخْتِلَافِ الْعَوَامِلِ, because different workers, different words coming, it's entering upon الداخلة, it's entering upon how? لفظا أو تقديرا. Either those words, it comes, you can see them, you see them, you pronounce them, or sometimes you don't pronounce them. Okay, so inshallah, remember, these are all technical definitions, so we have to understand what it's saying. So by and large, right now, very simple way which we know is a word changing at the end. So we have waladun, and we have waladan, and we have waladin. So these are the change that's happening. That is what this whole era is about. Why are you changing? Keep on, because this part is not changing, and the word meaning doesn't change. Walad is walad, waladun is a boy, waladan is a boy, waladin is also a boy. The meaning doesn't change, nothing changes. So why are you keep on changing? Why you're changing? So that is the whole concept of the i'rab. So it is what it means, the change, the taghyir, this change that happening at the end of the word. And why is happening? That's what it's saying, because the awamil, that something has to happen here. There's something has to come before or after for the reason why you're changing. And the studying of those changes and the reasons is the whole science of the era. Okay, is it clear? Now, this definition is very nice definition, but there's a little bit of flaw in it. Let me see if the book explains or not. Okay, so that is by and large what the Arab is. Let us go to the book. So now let's see what the Sharh says. Okay, so here you see the author only talked about the Babul Arab, but he definitely missed out the al-bina, and this is something that we have to spend some times. It's not a big topic, but we have to know. Looks like he will be definitely talking about this. So the Sharh says, لما فرغ المصنف من بيان الاسم والفعل والحرف. When the Musannif, he finished talking about or clarifying about the nouns, the verbs, and the particles, شرع في بيان, he began by clarifying أن كل واحدا منها, that all of them, every single one of them, لا يخلو آخره من إعراب أو بناء. What he's saying then? He's saying that he start talking about that every one of them. So we're talking about what? The isim, the fail, and the harf. All of them, it does not khala yakhlu, it means it's not without, it doesn't go outside. Okay, so you understand. So it doesn't go outside of what? That it's ending, their ending, the isim, fail, or harf, their ending being either i'rab, from the being Arab, or from being bina. That means whether it is mu'rab or mabni. You understand? So what he's saying is that any words we have ism, fail, or the harf, it has to be either something mu'rab, something that is changing, or something is bina, something that is fixed. Interestingly, that's not what the author said, because author actually didn't mention the bina, but it is nice that he is bringing this topic. Okay, so you understand so far what's going on. So we have all these three parts of speech, and all of them must be either mu'rab, or it has to be mabni. So, let me explain in simple way right now, and then maybe we'll read the books and he will explain a little bit more in details. So remember what we said, the example that we gave. We have waladun and all of these things changing. So this changing is, we said, what? I'rab, the mu'rab. So that means this word is mu'rab because it changes. But then there are some words that's not the case. It won't be changing. One of them is, for example, simple word is hada. This word will not ever change. Doesn't matter where you put, doesn't matter what amil or awamil comes, it will not change. So this would be considered mabni. And inshallah, the author will be explaining all of these things. Okay. Now, so he starts by saying, well, i'rab. The i'rab is what? وَتَغْيِيرُ أَوَاخِرِ الْكَلِمِ, whatever the author said, right? لِإِخْتِلَافِ الْعَوَامِلِ. Okay, so because this definition is not clear, let me see what he says. He says, أي, meaning تصير, meaning changing, أحوال الأواخر الكلمات. That means change of the ending of the word. But when you say ending of the word, this is where some of, for example, Tuhfat Saniya, the Muhammad Muhyiddin, he was pointing out, when you say changing the end of the word, some people might get confused. He might think that, you're maybe changing some kind of, the letters or some other kind of changes. So then we have to understand that's not the change we're talking about, because he did not make it clear. He just said changing the end. End of what? It can be end of end letters, end something. So he's not clear. So he's clarifying. He's clarifying here from min hal. Hal is the state. This word you have to know. The hala or hal, both of them are fine. Is the state. So the state of raf, which is the dhamma, ila state of nasb or state of the jar. So basically, what he's saying is that this change that the author is mentioning, it's not just arbitrary change. We're specifically talking about the state change, the case ending. You understand? So that we're talking about interest in the case ending. Now, so far is clear, guys, because I don't know how much I have to explain, because this, as I said, this class is not beginner. So I'm even Modina book students, they should know that the change, sometimes we put kasra, sometimes we put dhamma. So I have to assume here that you understand this concept of changing, because if I start explaining, then maybe this is not going to be appropriate for this class, not for Ajrumiyyah. Okay, so hopefully you understand what he's talking about, because even these words should be in your mind. I don't have to explain what is raf means, what is nasb is, what is jar. Okay, now, but we will be talking about these things throughout our entire course, of course, right? But you have to have some kind of idea. Otherwise, you'll be like, what is he talking about, right? Now, so now he gives an example. Tagirul hasil. This is like he's talking about a summary change. Fi harakati akhiri rajul. He brought this word. So we're going to be looking at the word rajul in all three forms in the Quran. Okay, so what we have, waqala rajulun, from the Quran. Okay, you see this, it's from the Quran. Waqala rajulun. Then we have wa ataqtuluna rajulan. Same word, amen. Then we have awhayna ila rajulin. So you see the same word is changing from rajulun to rajulan to rajulin. And this quick translation, the qala rajulun means the man said. Okay, then taqtuluna rajulan, it is a question is asking, are you going to be killing a man, right? So this is here. And then we have awhayna, that we inspired or we sent revolution ila rajulin, to a man. Okay, so as you can see, this word rajul is been changing to different states. So let's read what he's saying. في الآية الأولى, so in the first ayah, رفيع رجل, so meanings the rajul has dhamma, it is in the marfu states. لأن, because العامل, here's the word amil. The amil, why is right now is dhamma? As you see that in this kind of class, we have to always ask this kind of question. And the question is not always going to be like, because it is file and this kind of things. You have to also identify the word. Then you can see what this word is, right? What is the word that's making this one dhamma? The word is qala. So the qala is the amil. Because why? Because we know the verbs. I think he will explain. فيه لأنه فاعله, because it is its file. So now you have to understand a little bit difference between what they mean by file, what they mean by amil, and what we mean by file. So this is a file. Why? Because the thing that is making this one into dhamma, because of the amil is qala. Qala is a verb, and the verb needs a doer, and the doer it is marfu. You understand how they want to see it? It's a little bit tacky, honestly. It's very picky for even for my taste, but I just have to explain that thing to you, otherwise you might get into confusion, right? So they want to say the word that is making the word, the amil that is making this one dhamma is the verb qala. Okay, why then the other question comes, because the rajul is the file of the qala. Same thing, it will say the word. So now you tell me why we have, what is the amil of rajulan? The fact that we have fatah here, you will see the verb, this one, taqtulu. You understand? So same thing would be here. Now, okay, this one you have to answer to me. Why do you think, based on this understanding, what is the amil of majrur here? Yes, I want everybody to think. Yes, everybody's getting it. Very nice. The amil is the ila. See, we don't have to say, preposition, everything. Right now, this question goes back to the word. Then we understand what is this word and it's, what does it do? You see a little bit subtle difference, but that's the way they want you to think. When they talk about amil, amil is the word that is affecting, and then you can study what is that word. Okay, now we understand the word is, harful jar. Harful jar makes the noun after it majrur. So I'm not going to read the rest of it because I think you got the gist of it. That's what's going on here. Let me see if anything else. Because whatever he explained here, I don't want to spend too much time. We're going to be talking about this when we go to the mansubat, we go to the marfuat, because he's explaining that the rajul is file, the file gets a dhamma, those things are coming. Okay, right now I want you to think about that this concept of rajul changing for something. First thing you have to know that this concept of changing, and it changes because of amil, something happens, something enters upon that word. The word cannot change just by itself. Remember, when you have something just by itself, it's just a word. There's nothing. Whatever comes, that worker will have an impact on that. And then if the word changes, this is what? Mu'rab. And if it doesn't change, then it is mabni. And I think the author will, this book will explain the mabni. Now, okay, so here's interesting. So the Ajrumiyyah, he mentioned these two technical words, lafzan aw taqdiran. We're going to be spending a lot of time on the word taqdir and what is the i'rab of the taqdir. So let's see how much I'm going to explain here, because this would be our one of the big topic. Okay, when we go to the next few weeks. Okay, so here it says ay anna tagayyura yakuna zahiran aw taqdiran. So the change can be something that is apparent. Here you can translate these two words. Zahir would be apparent, and taqdir would be, how would you translate taqdir? Implicit. Then probably explicit would be a better word from here, because you'll see what's the difference between them. Implied, yes, yeah, implied, implicit, yes, that's good. So something is apparent and something is implied. Okay, so this change could be, okay, so the tagayyur can be what? Tagayyur can be, yakun, it can be something that is apparent or something that is implied. Okay, so the apparent one is I'm more interested in right now, because the implied, the taqdir, inshallah, we'll be spending more time later. It says, huwa alladhi yadharu atharuhu fi natq. So he's defining a zahir. He's defining the apparent one. It is that yadharu, that it shows what? Atharuhu, its effect, fi nutqi, in the pronunciation. Okay, so you can basically, bottom line is, when you see those changes, you see the rajul, and you see these changes are happening. You've seen the rajul, rajulan, rajulin. That apparent is something that zahir. But sometimes those changes you cannot see. Okay, and this is not the same thing. This is the technical thing you have to know. This is not the same thing as the word hada. Hada is mabni. Inshallah, we'll study. Mabni means it's never going to change. But sometimes there's a word that changes are happening, but you cannot see. I'll just mention the word, something right now, inshallah, we'll study, which is, for example, any noun that has alif at the end. Did he give any word? Sometimes, nothing comes. Fata, very nice. This word, what is fata? Yes, al-fata is yo, yes. So now, if you put this word is always will be pronounced like this, fata, always. Doesn't matter what the situation is, whatever the amil comes in. But these two words are not the same. This word is changes actually happening, but you cannot see it. Why? Because of the alif. Because this alif, you know about the alif. Alif cannot take any haraka. So it's, the argument is that, well, it's not the problem in the word itself. It's like we are putting alif, we are putting the fatha, we're putting the dhamma, we're putting kasra. It's just that the alif doesn't accept it. So that's why they're saying is taqdeer. The difference here is that hada will never change. This is mabni, it will not change. But al-fatha, it will be changing. But because of the alif is here, you won't be able to see it. It's like at the dark time, things are happening because there's no light. You don't see it, but it doesn't mean that things are not happening. You understand? So that is the idea. Make sense, guys? Now, okay, so I'm not going to read the rest because taqdeeri, inshallah, I'm going to spend tons of time when we go to that section. So ثانيا البناء. So the secondly is the بناء. تعريفه, its definition هو لزوم. لزوم means necessary. لازم, something is very necessary. So that means here it's being used something that is stuck, something that is fixed. You can think of fixed. Something is fixed in آخر كلمة, in the end of the word, in one state. حالة واحدة. So that means its stage doesn't change. So for example, لزوم آخر هؤلاء. Okay, so the word هؤلاء is what who knows what the word هؤلاء means? These, yes. Yes. I was gonna say, yeah, those is أولئك. Now, so this is ismul ishara, and he gave us very nice examples. Again, from the Quran, we have هؤلاء قومنا. هؤلاء قومنا. Okay, so again, you see Hamza has kasra. Inna ha'ula'i qawmun. Again, but the thing is right now we're not studying what the inna, because when inna comes, it should be in the mansub state, but nothing is changing. Wajina bika ala ha'ula'i. The ala, you should understand, you probably think like after ala we have a kasra, but that's not the situation. The ha'ula'i is always with the kasra at the end. It will never change. So as you can see, it comes in the different stage, different situation with the different amil, but its spelling is not changing. Okay, so this is called mabni. Okay, so this is called a mabni when its state doesn't change. Let me quickly, I think I should have explained this in my way. It would have been much easier for you guys to understand. Let me quickly explain something. So we have any kalima, because this is important, but I don't want you guys to work up too much with a more technical way. Sometimes you just need to know, especially the mabni, I want you to think just simple sense. But still, there's a lot more than what I said. You still have to know a few more things, especially in Ajrumiyyah class, this kind of class. So let me see if I can explain. So the word can be mu'rab, right? Or it can be mabni. Simple stuff. Mu'rab is when ending changes. And the mabni is ending does not change. Okay, so our whole journey will be mu'rab, so don't worry about this thing. We're going to be studying mu'rab. But the mabni, quickly I want to explain, it doesn't change, but the way the grammarian also wants to identify few things. They will have this concept of it's ending on what. For example, when you say mu'rab, we have Muhammadun, it's ending on dhamma, so we can talk about this, that this is, it has a dhamma because it is file. But in the mu'rab, the grammarian also wants to know it's ending on what. It's mabni on what. So you'll hear the concept mabni ala. So this is something that you have to know, otherwise you will not understand what they're saying. They want you to know, or they are interested in, that is ending, it is mabni on what. For example, if we say, let's just say come. So this is the word is mabni. So the question is, it is mabni on what? The answer would be, it is mabni on sukun. Okay, so the grammarian, because you're studying intermediate grammar, these things has to be in your mind. Okay, otherwise, I want you to put this concept in your mind, because they're always interested. The grammar guys, they're always interested what's going on at the end. They don't care if it's moving or not moving. They need to know what's going on at the end. And in the beginning, and the words that is before the ending, you know whose concern is? Because the grammarian's concern is ending. Whose concern is this part? These are the sarf concern. When you study sarf, their concern is what goes before that, the spelling, different form. But the grammarian, they only care about what's the ending. Okay, so they need to know. They're very picky. Let me give you another example that the example that he gave us. We have ha'ula'i. Now you answer this question. If I say it is mabni, then if the question is mabni ala what? Mabni ala what? This word. Answer. Then inshallah you will know, because we don't have to go too much in details. I just want the concept to be in your mind. Are you sure? Mabni ala fath. It's kasra, because you have a kasra on the hamza, right? So you have to, no. That's not, see, that's why I know you guys not getting it. It's a simple concept. That's why I'm spending time. You have to know. When we say mabni ala, that means it is, what is the ending? Basically think about what is the last haraka of this word. Simple as that. When you say mabni ala, we asking about last haraka. Haraka or not haraka, because sukun is not haraka, doesn't matter. So it is ending on what? Very, very simple thing, guys. Don't make it complicated. So if I ask you, what is the mabni? This haula is mabni. We just learned it. So it is mabni ala what? It should be kasra. Simple. Okay. You might find it very, doesn't make any sense, but that you have to know this. This is how we have to understand. If somebody asks a question, it is mabni on what? It is mabni ala kasra. So that means it is important, because regardless of, yes, it fixed on kasra. Yeah. I hope, yes, maybe I should have given the definition of mabni. Mabni is fixed. Something is fixed. Because the word mabni comes from the mabni, linguistic, it means a building. You look at a tall building, any kinds of structure, building, this is called mabni. Why? Because it's fixed. From that perspective, this is not moving anywhere. It's firm. That's why it's called mabni, and that's the word they're using to indicate the word that is fixed. So it is fixed on what? It's fixed on kasra. But in this class, inshallah, we can say mabni ala. That's not very difficult. We can say it's mabni ala kasra. Simple. Okay. So let me give you another one. This is a tough one, a tricky one. See if you guys can pick it up. I would be very impressed if you are happy if you can pick it up. So we just say hada. We just say hada is mabni. Let's see who can tell me it is mabni ala mada. Mabni ala what? If you can get this, I'll be very impressed. It's not easy. It is mabni on what? I have one answer, fatha. Anything else? I want to hear more. Alif is not haraka. Alif is a letter. You cannot say. In this situation, you cannot say. Okay, this is a little bit tricky, but guys, if you know anything about alif, you could have answered that question. Now tell me, what is mabni on what? If you know anything about, yes, mabni on sukun. Very nice. Because alif never can take anything other than sukun. Make sense, guys? So, this is something that I wasn't expecting, but that's what it is. So now if you want, somebody has to ask, it's okay, hada is mabni on what? If you say alif, well, that's wrong. You have to say it's mabni on sukun. So this is the concept that at this stage, at this level, we have to understand. And it's not very difficult. You just look at the last haraka, and whatever the haraka is, it is mabni on. Okay. So that what he's talking about, that it can be mabni on sukun, it can be mabni on fath, it can be mabni on kasr, it can be mabni on dam. Okay, so that means you have it's all for ways the word can be mabni. So aina, if aina is a mabni, very easy. It's mabni on fatha. Okay, mabni on kasr, mabni on dam. Make sense? Very simple, right? So keep this one as simple as that. We have a set of words. that does not change, we call them mabni, and then we have its mabni either on sukun, it's mabni either on kasra, and we have all these four possibilities, right? Make sense? Now, before I go to what I wanted to cover, alhamdulillah, we covered, but one more thing I want to say about mabni, which is the concept of mabni. We have to know, so what are the words mabni? Is there a way we can find out which are the words mabni and which are the words not mabni, not mora? Can you identify them? So the words that are mabni, mabni can be from all four of them. It can be from isim, it can be from harf, it can be from uh, isim. I'm just gonna order the correctly, fi'l and harf. The mabni, the asl of the mabni, sorry, asl of the harf is the mabni. So by and large, the Arab wants all the harf to be mabni. Okay, so number one, every single harf that you have, it is mabni. All particles. So this is the asl of the way the Arabs think about the mabni and mora, which is which is different than morab. Morab, the asl is all the nouns should be morab. It's not the case, but we're talking about asl. The asl. The asl, they want every noun to be morab. In terms of harf, right now, just think about all the harfs, or hurufs, they are mabni. Okay, so for example, alif lam is a mabni, fi is a mabni, min is a mabni, waw is a mabni, lam is a lam is a mabni. Every harf that you can think of, they are mabni. Now, of course, we have to know it's mabni on what. You understand? So, for example, this is mabni on fatha, this is mabni on sukun. This is something very easy. Inshallah, you will be able to figure it out. Is it clear, guys? So this is the first thing that I want you to know, that all the harfs are mabni. Clear, guys? The second category of mabnis are the fi'l. The fi'l would be like in the middle. Okay, all the harfs are mabni, and the fi'l, most of the fi'l are mabni. And when we say most, we have to think about the fi'l. How many types of fi'l we have? We have madi. Okay, we have mudare, and we have amr. The madi is always mabni. And amr is always mabni. You get it? So when we study mabni, we have to know what are the mabnis. Number one is harf. Harf is mabni, very easy. The fi'l, the most of the fi'l are mabni, because just think about the madi, the past tense, and the command verbs, they are mabni. Meaning the word, they will not change. Nothing can happen. When you say dhahaba, nothing can come here or here or here or here. I don't know. Nothing can come that it would change the dhahaba to dhahabu or dhahabi. Nothing. Versus mudare. Mudare is not mabni. Mudare is morab. And if you guys don't know, inshallah, but we will learn it, you will know that mudare can change. You can have yadhabu, it can be yadhaba, it can be yadhab. So that means this word, the ending is changing. Okay, so inshallah we'll be studying, so don't worry. But right now my only thing is that because the book didn't explain, what I want you to think about, at least get some idea of what are the words mabni. Number one, harf. Number two, past tense and the command verbs. Make sense? So does it mean that there is no words that is mabni in the isim? No, that's not true. That we have the isim, we can have mabni, and we have a mudare, which is also mabni. You will learn that some of the verbs that is mabni, inshallah, you'll get across those things. But right now I just want to, because the book didn't mention anything, so I wanted to give you something so that you have some kind of ideas in your mind. So from the isim, ismul ishara would be mabni, not all of them. That's why I don't want to get in too much in details. I just want to leave at this for now. Okay, leave it at this right now, that all the harf, all the hurufs are mabni, and the Madi, the past tense, and the are mabni. And yes, we have some isim mabni and some mudari mabni. Inshallah, as time comes, we'll understand. But at least you have something to work on. Yes, that's what I mean. The mudari, that some forms of the mudari are mabni. Okay, so when you have nun of niswa, when mudari has a nun of niswa, it would be mabni. So the concept is clear. Let me give you a few more things about isim. Okay, number one is domir. So pronouns, what am I writing? So the pronouns are mabni. Make sense? The pronouns are mabni. And then ismul ishara. Okay, ismul ishara would be also mabni. Okay, so what are the ismul ishara? You already seen here two of them. The hada is ismul ishara, haula is ismul ishara, right? So these would be mabni, except for the dual form. Right now, just learn it like that. Inshallah, I'll teach you everything. So I'm just giving you a very simple way so you understand the whole spectrum, or at least get some idea of the concept of mabni. Okay, and then we have what? Ismul mawsul also mabni, which is like alladhi, okay, allati. Again, not all of them. So I'll just leave it at these two. Just think about their other ones, but just to make give you something from the noun, I'm just giving you damir and ismu ishara. Makes sense, guys? Just at least you know something from the noun, but there are more things. This book, I don't blame them. This concept is not super important for us to study mabni in too much in details. Those are the things they usually spend a lot of time in the other books, in the more advanced book. But I feel like book didn't even mention anything. But I feel like if you understand this much, inshallah, I think you have a very good knowledge about the mabni. Okay, quickly again, I'm repeating myself a lot. Quickly, a mabni, the harf, all the hurufs are mabni. The past tense, madi, and the command verbs are mabni. And then we have the ism, some of them, for example, dhamir, the pronouns, ismu ishara, they're mabni. And just as long as you know there are other things out there here and there, inshallah, I think you guys are fine. Make sense, guys? If you guys don't have any other questions, I'm not going to start a new topic. So I think we're fine. Let me just quickly go back to the Ajrumiyyah text. Yeah, so as you can see, Ajrumiyyah did not say anything. He's completely quiet about the word mabni. He did not mention the mabni, but just like the book, and definitely, I also think that the concept has to be in your mind. Okay, so that's all we did for today, right? Inshallah, from the next week moving forward, we'll be studying our real topic, which is the morab, the state. Another thing I'll just quickly mention that we're gonna have a lot of problem of following this Ajrumiyyah text word by word from moving forward. This much we can probably go no problem, because I mentioned to you that he's all over the place. You know, he explained the same thing in many different ways, and I'll explain why he does that. And because there's just two ways of explaining these things. The way he chose, other books also does it similar way. It is not good for the beginner student. It is good for someone who understands, they just want to know certain ways. So what we'll probably do, I will probably follow the Qatr Nada when it comes to the organization. We're not going to go that much in details of all of them, but we'll organize the way the Ibn Hisham organized, and then we'll come back and pick at it and we'll say, we have done this one, we have done this one, you know, something like that. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Because if we, you'll see there's a lot of issues the way he organized, especially this part. And who's Ibn Hisham? If you know Sibawayh, you also have to know Ibn Hisham. Okay, you have to know Ibn Hisham. Last 5 minutes. If you guys want to leave, you can leave, but I'm just gonna talk about a little bit. Okay, so this is by Ibn Hisham, Qatr Nada. He is really one of the great scholars in Arabic grammar, Arabic language altogether. One of, to the point that he was like he came to a point that people start saying that after Sibawayh is Ibn Hisham. And some also made a claim in places in the Moroccan places that, you know, they're saying that we heard a new scholar came who is better than Sibawi, which is not the case. Most of the scholar would not agree, but it tells you who he is, tells you how much he knows the language, right? So this is, he did Qatranada as a, you know, beginner, you know, quote unquote beginner. The funny thing is when this big scholar says something beginner, don't listen to them, you know, because their mind is so up in the high, they don't even know what's down there, you know, they don't know where we are, subhanallah. So when they say beginner, guys, it's probably somewhere up in the intermediate or something like that, right? So Qatranada is one of the intermediate book, but then he explains, he has a other, of course he has so many other books in the grammar, and he also did one of the explanation of Alfiya ibn Malik. So remember the last time the explanation that I gave you, showed you, it was by Ibn Aqil, and I told you that that was one of, when I say simple, don't think it's simple, you know, simple means he doesn't go too much in details about the difference in opinion and things like that, and arguments and this and that. But Ibn Hisham, his explanation of Alfiya, guys, this is like beast. You know, I didn't study. I have the book. You know me. I buy all the books. I have the books. I picked at it. He goes way too much in details about the arguments, why they're saying, you know, this, you know, lots of cool stuff. So Ibn Hisham is very good. Okay, so this is the book of, I don't know why I'm started talking about Ibn Hisham, but I thought I would mention, because you have to know, you know, this point, if somebody asks you Ibn Hisham and you don't know that, you know, and, you know, you said that you know Arabic grammar, they might be very disappointed in you, you know, because you have to know some names. You have to know Sibawayh, you have to know Ibn Hisham, you have to know Alfiya, you have to know certain things. Okay, Muhammad Muhyiddin, he's also a very great scholar, obviously not to the level of Hisham, they're completely different beast. With that, I'll wrap up, inshallah. If you guys don't have any questions, I will see you guys next week. And about the words and everything, guys, from this class or the other class, please keep adding vocabs to your dictionary, your mind dictionary, okay? Because the only thing I'm scared of, you guys are spending so much time. You know, that's I feel for you guys. You don't understand. I really feel for you guys. I see some of my students. There's a some of you are so active, subhanallah. I see you guys all the time, and I know already that you guys are very serious about the language. At some point within a year or so, you guys will be very great. I know that because I used to be in same situation. I would be like, all whatever I find out, you will find my head, you know, sitting there, you know, whether I understand or not, you'll find me there. It doesn't mean that no, I'm a good student or anything. It's just that my eagerness is there, and I get frustrated all the time. But this being connected like that, it just bursts out something. It just opens up another door, and then you will just keep on getting things just will keep on opening up, inshallah. Okay.